Hey everyone, we're back here with a new Dev Diary. Not one, but two Dev Diaries. I owe you one, because I skipped one. Let's start with the good, the new. Well, last week's Dev Diary. Peace conferences. Peace conferences are getting a rework after 6 years. Much needed rework. Here is the new UI on display, with the losers on one side, the winners on the other, and then everybody gets to spend their points. In the new system, everyone on the winning side will have to go at the same time, so these will be blind bids placed on either territory or other demands in the peace deal, and everyone goes at the same time. Every round we get the results and we go from there. If 2 or more people want the same piece of land or the same ship, yes, we can take ships now, then a bidding war can start and things become progressively more expensive. So it is a way for smaller countries to go all in on that one specific province they need, or if you're going for the achievements, you need just a one piece of land to get that achievement. This is a great way to get that. No longer having to deal with the Soviets taking everything because they threw 10 million men in Germany. And this is what I am most excited about. Navy. Take Navy. This is limited to capital ships. The amount of capital ships you take will also give you a certain percentages of the screening ships that the remaining Navy still has. So in this case, if the Scharnhorst gets taken by the Soviets, they also get 25% of Germany's remaining screening ships. So you're effectively bidding on the big boats, and the small boats are just a nice little bonus. This is huge. Up until now, the only way to really enlarge your Navy quickly by conquest was to puppet an enemy country and then slowly integrate them through the puppet mechanics. It took forever, and this is a massive change. This is going to make it so much better for smaller countries going for specific achievements, or for smaller countries that need to reach the United States or that need to reach Britain. They have an option to get themselves a makeshift navy quickly and, well, I wouldn't say easily, but at least quickly. I love this. I have so many things I want to do with this. This is going to be great, and I cannot wait to start cheesing this. And then a couple of smaller options. The demilitarized zone, the DMZ. It's pretty much the way Rhineland works, or the Turkish Straits. It's a DMZ. I don't know what use it's going to be in an actual peace deal. This feels like an RP change, but it's there. It's something. Yes, it's okay. Another option they are adding are resource rights and war reparations. War reparations give you control of a certain amount of civilian factories in a state that the enemy still has. Why you don't take the state, I don't know. Same with the resource rights. They give you the rights to those resources, like the Mexican oil currently works, and I think the Iraqi oil as well for the UK. Great. I just don't see the point in most games that you will be playing single player. This does scream roleplay, so it's nice that the options are there. I just don't see an immediate use for them, but it's cool. Same for the last option, really. Dismantle military. Yeah, cool. We can remove military factories from the target straight, and you can just completely tear down your enemies. Why not just conquer them? Again, RP purposes is what I'm thinking. These things are very cool. I just don't see an immediate use for these last couple of ones. But the Navy, boys, this is what I'm looking for. Now, we have another Dev Diary. Let's move on. And this is the new Dev Diary, and we're talking about quality of life changes. And we're going to start with something that most people don't really take into account, but which is important: armor piercing. The way it works now is there are some calculations involved, and generally speaking, you want to have more armor piercing than the enemy has armor, or vice versa, whichever party you are. Now, we are getting a couple of changes that are a little cleaner. Let's take the example they are showing on screen here. If your division has less than 50% armor piercing of the enemy's armor, or if it can pierce less than half of the enemy's armor value, you only do half the damage. If you can pierce more than 50% of the armor, you do 65% of the damage. If you can pierce more than 75% of the armor, you're hitting for 80% of your maximum damage. And if you can pierce all of the enemy's armor, you're hitting them full on 100%. So this is nice, an easy way to finally figure out how much armor or how much armor piercing do I need. I like that. I'm not much of a numbers guy. This is good for me. And to tie in with that, ships are also getting a little bit of a rework. The way armor piercing works on ships is a little bit different. There, it impacts critical hit chance. So if you can pierce less than 10% of the enemy's armor belt, you are hitting for the standard critical hit chance. So the amount of damage you do is not changed, just the chance of you scoring a critical hit is. If you can't pierce more than 10%, no changes. If you can pierce more than 10%, you have a 110% chance to get a critical hit chance. So the odds of you getting a critical hit, so like hitting the enemy's magazines, the powder magazines, that's what this ties into. The more of the enemy's armor you pierce, the more likely they are to completely take a massive hit and just blow up. And at the top level there, if you are completely outclassing the enemy, you are piercing 200% of their armor, you have a triple chance of getting a critical hit. So it does pay for the Navy to really go big with the massive guns. I like seeing this. It might make naval play a little more interesting. Of course, armor piercing isn't everything, and we are also getting some things to make life a little easier for us. Ships, tanks, and planes can now be designed, and while you're designing things, you have a new list over on the right there that hosts your own designs, but also designs of the enemy. If you have captured their equipment is listed on the right there, or if you have spies in that country and you have maximum military intelligence, you can see what they're putting on the production line, and you can tailor your airplanes, your tanks, and your ships accordingly. This is excellent, takes the guesswork out of it. You can see what they're building, and then you respond to that. This might actually incentivize players to continuously switch up designs to respond to new threats, or to just respond to the battlefield in general. If things are going poorly, now you can see why. Capture one of the enemy's tanks, take it apart, and let your boys go to work. This is going to be a massive thing in multiplayer, I think. And I'm also thinking they might just ban this in multiplayer. But I love this. I love this to death. This is great. It's also so much easier now to just look at your own stuff and see, what kind of tank do I need to design? What do I already have? What purpose should this thing fill? Love it. And as you can see, it's very clear. You get your stats of the design you're making up top, and then they compare to the design that you have selected over on the right at the bottom there. And you can see all the stats laid out. Next up, and this is actually a pretty big one, war support. The way war support works right now is just keep it over 50 and you're fine. It only influences like the rate at which manpower mobilizes, which isn't all that important. And you can get more of it indefinitely. No more. War support is being changed. The higher your war support, the more attack and defense you have on core territory, it is actually going to matter. Not only that, but they have removed all sources of ticking war support. So you no longer get the click a decision that gives you infinite war support. Just go down the list of countries that you can do war propaganda against. That's gone. This is a big one. Taking casualties during the war will now contribute a gradual ticking war support malice that replaces malices that only happened when you used force attack. So losing millions of men will actually start to matter. Looking at you, Stalin. And to bring everything in line, they've also changed the way the strategic bombing penalty works along with the sunk convoys penalty. If anyone's watched my videos, I hate these. I just hope they become a little bit more manageable. And yes, the infinite war propaganda decisions have been removed. So those are gone. And instead, we have new decisions. Depending on how the war is going, how your current war support is going, we'll have options to mitigate the results at a price. We can extort heroism if we've got a lot of war support penalties from casualties, and we can then reduce that penalty for a little bit at the cost of 100 political power. Now, all of these numbers are not final, but this is a lot more realistic than to just run continuous war propaganda campaigns. They're only keeping one propaganda campaign, the generic ones, but you can only use it if you're below 50%. So they are giving you somewhat of a Hail Mary there if you drop below 50 and you get those negative events. I like that. Okay, so that is good. We get some tools, but it's up to us to properly manage war support, and it's not something that you don't have any control over except clicking those decisions over and over. Now, something to address the endless logistic strikes. Armored trains. Armored trains are being fixed. Not only will they no longer be completely immune to damage, sad, but they are getting a nice little bonus. For those of you who have never checked out this screen, they get air defense. They get air attack. That's right, armored trains will be able to shoot down the close air support that's harassing them. The enemy is bringing shitty airplanes, and you got good trains. I suppose you can start killing them that way. But realistically, this will give your trains a chance to fight back and defend themselves. That combined with their armor will make them still a very good choice if you're playing a country that will not have air superiority, and you will at least be able to salvage your logistics. Now, this will not impact battles. These trains will only interact with airplanes that are set to logistic strikes, and that is the only place where this damage will occur. And the only place you'll see it is if you go into that overview window, and there it will just simply say how many bombers were shot down by armored trains. It's cool though. I like it. It's unfortunate that these trains are no longer immune to damage, but it is what it is. Still good. And, well, while we're here, AI tank strategy. Now, don't get your hopes up. They're going to improve the way the AI uses tanks, and they will try to encourage it to use tanks on particular front lines, to concentrate their armor, and to have a couple of triggers set built in that makes the AI more clever in how it uses its tanks. It's still the AI, though, so it won't be able to pull off those pincer moves that the players love to do. It's not gonna start encircling you left, right, and center, but it's nice that they're giving the AI a little bit of a brain boost, because we've all seen how terrible it is. Any change in the positive is something I welcome. Speaking of changes in the positive, we will finally be able to see the logistics of our faction members and subjects. Gone are the days of just guessing what the Soviets need. No, we can actually go and see now. We can see if they lack billions of guns, and we can then send them some of ours. Instead of guessing, maybe I'll send a few thousand guns and some artillery and some trucks. No, you have a good, clear picture now. Obviously, we're not going to be able to delete their equipment from this window. It's simply a good way to see how our allies are keeping up with the war effort. Also, an easy way to see who to ask for actual lend-lease, because you never really know. You never really know. Not until now. And that is pretty much it for this Dev Diary. I hope you've enjoyed it. I am looking forward to this one. A little more than a month to go. Come on, baby. I need myself some By Blood Alone.